Ladies with gentle hands, you heard it here first. Elon Musk is canceling his Netflix subscription and he's urging his 227 million followers on X to do the same, or Twitter, more so, whatever you want to call it. I usually dead name X and call it Twitter. It's really fun. But Elon Musk is furious about the depictions of trans people because Trans Visibility Day just happened. He's upset. He's saying, oh, we shouldn't have this. He's showing honoring the transgender and non-binary people when they shouldn't even be in America. This is ridiculous. True, they're pushing it. It's not quietly lurking in the background on Netflix. They're pushing it on us. It's disgusting. It's ridiculous. And it's absolutely hilarious that he's mad about this. I want to point this out. Elon Musk is in the top 0.1% of the world. Sorry, 0.00001% of people, because he's the richest, no contest person on the planet. Now, trans people, how many of them are there in America? So there are 2.8 million trans people. That's a big number. If I had 2.8 million subscribers, I'd be amazing. That'd be outstanding. That's so many people, which is really about, nearly 1% of the nation's adult population. So basically 1% of America is fighting against the 0.0001%. Elon Musk is scared of all the trans representation. He's trying to find an enemy in trans people because he doesn't want to be the enemy himself, is what I'm discovering. And it seems goofy. Now, has this affected Netflix? A little bit. There was a dip. The Netflix shares fell 2.3% that day. So that's a little bit crazy. So the base of Elon, the base of his people are canceling their Netflix subscriptions. But that's not really a crazy dip. I think the Elon Musk boycott of Netflix is probably one of the strangest cultural war flare-ups. It really shows how fragile the ego of a billionaire can be and how quickly a personal gripe can be dressed up as a moral crusade. He has a lot of power and he knows it, and he tries to throw his weight around all the time. I remember he tweeted out the word Doge, and Doge soared up, making a bunch of accidental millionaires. Musk announced he's canceled his Netflix subscription. Told his followers to do the same. He keeps saying Netflix is dangerous to younger people because it shows trans characters. I want you to think about the nonsense. The man who builds rockets at AI companies, the man who is always busy, always doing all these things, is spending his time obsessing over a children's cartoon called Dead End Paranormal Park. He isn't mad about price hikes or the password sharing rules, or about he isn't mad about Netflix endless shovelware of true crime documentaries. Nothing about that. He's not mad about the predatory practices, about the businesses, or anything of that variety, anything money related. He's not mad about that. He's mad about one single thing: the existence of a trans protagonist. That's it. That's the hill that he's screaming on. And it's making him look smaller and not larger. That this bothers him. It's making him look weak and pathetic and weird. And the facts of this get even more ridiculous. The show Elon picked as his target ended in 2023. The show that he's getting mad about, the show ended in 2023. I don't know if you know that. I have no idea. If you don't know about Dead End Paranormal Park, which I imagine you don't, I have nieces. So, Dead End Paranormal Park ended in 2023. That's what the final episode, actually. If we see Dead End Paranormal Park right here, it went from June 16th to October 13th. Didn't even have that long of a run. Not a very popular show. Not a very popular show at all. Well, in some aspects it might have been. It had 20 episodes. Not a long running series to be it's not really long, to be quite honest with you. I don't know why he's mad about that. And he's rallying a boycott over content that isn't even in production anymore. He's not fighting some ongoing Netflix agenda. He's shadowboxing a ghost, a phantom of representation that already came and went. This is the equivalent of protesting a Blockbuster for having a copy of Will and Grace on VHS in 2001. It shows you the hollowness of the outrage, as if he's trying to just be mad at trans people for the sake of being mad at them. He might not be relevant right now, so he wants to be relevant. He wants his name to be trending. He cares about his ego a lot. It isn't about what's really on Netflix today, because it's not on Netflix today. It's about seizing a cultural moment to yell at trans people, because yelling at trans people has become the default setting for certain quarters of the internet. It's easy outrage fuel. Find a marginalized group, invent a moral panic, then declare yourself the hero for protecting the children. We're saving the kids. I keep thinking about this. Less than 1.6% of the US population. That means all this fury, all this corporate pressure, all this billionaire rage is aimed at a group that statistically barely registers in terms of raw numbers. They are not taking over schools. They're not taking over Hollywood. They're not anywhere, I mean this realistically, anywhere near a majority influence. And yet you would think, based on the level of panic that Musk and others are pushing, that trans people are the largest, most powerful demographic in the country. You would assume so, because they're always in conversation. You would always assume so. They are not. They're a tiny, vulnerable minority whose stories are only barely starting to appear in mainstream media. And I truly do mean barely starting. Because back in the day, it was people in drag, it was men dressed as women, not actually trans people. It was people that would be called, oh, that's a transvestite. That's what they would say. Those are the words they would say. That's what it was in media back in the day. That's what it was. They barely had the chance to even appear yet, and there's already an orchestrated campaign to erase them again. They didn't even get up there yet. It's important to remember this very important thing, that Netflix didn't invent trans representation. They followed years of work by creators, activists, and artists who fought tooth and nail just to get a fraction of the visibility that straight cisgender characters have always enjoyed by default. Like Orange is the New Black, Sense8. They weren't radical for existing. They were radical because they dared to treat queer and trans people as normal parts of the human story. Musk framing this as dangerous ideology ignores the fact that the ideology at play here is, you guessed it, basic empathy. Telling a kid who feels different that they're not alone. That's it. And if you can't stomach that, the problem is not Netflix for actually having the show. The problem is you. Musk positions himself as this great free speech warrior. He bought Twitter, right? Because he claimed he wanted people to say whatever they wanted without fear of censorship. But what is this boycott if not censorship? He doesn't like a streaming service produced a cartoon with a trans character, so he wants millions of people to financially punish the company until it stops making that kind of content. That's horrible. That's cultural blackmail. You can't scream about protecting speech on one hand and then call for boycotts of art because you don't like the other. Unless, of course, free speech only applies to things Musk agrees with, which is the exact opposite of what free speech means. That authoritarian vibe, the tendencies leak through because he loves having power. That's why he's the richest man on the planet. He isn't just saying, I don't really like the show that much, it's not really fun. He is saying, you shouldn't be allowed to like this show, you should cancel it, you should punish the company, they suck, they're pushing it on your kids, it's garbage. It's a personal choice turned into a collective demand. And when someone with Musk wealth and reach tells millions of people to punish an entire company because of a marginalized group's existence, that's top-down cultural pressure. And then all his Twitter blue people are going to say, I agree with you, Musk. You're so cool. Push the post. Share my post. This is great. This is great for my algorithm. I'm going to get a bunch of money, which I do agree. You are going to get a bunch of money. Netflix has actual problems, by the way. The exploitative labor conditions of production. Nobody talks about the international price hikes or shrinking catalogs. Nobody talks about the reality that Netflix cancels beloved shows at the one season because they can't chase the algorithm. There are legitimate customer grievances, but those don't trend because they aren't culture war red meat. So instead of rallying people for better wages for writers, which would be outstanding, Musk rallies people around hatred of trans teenagers in cartoons. It's easier, it's cheaper, it makes him like a warrior. You're not a warrior. You're not doing anything important. The writers, the people that actually make the shows, those people that are depending on this, something that Musk probably never had to do in his entire life because he's been a Nepo baby most of his life. Musk has not had to do hard work ever. Genuinely ever. He has not had to do it. He's not some outstanding self-made millionaire. If you look at the history of Elon, he's not even a genius. He's not even smart. He's not even smart. I thought when he was first popping up, everybody held him as this Tony Stark of our generation. He's not even smart. He's not even smart. You know what's killing me? Every time someone tries to cancel Netflix over anything, Sense8, Dead End, all it does is draw attention to the shows. People who never have heard of them. I want to point this out. I've never heard of this show. Ever. Now they got to watch it out of curiosity. It's like, oh, I gotta figure out what's going on here. They might even like the show. I've seen people like the show. I remember somebody told me about Infinity Train. I didn't know anything about Infinity Train, but somebody said Infinity Train is messed up. It's da 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 da. I was like, okay, let's figure out what's going on. Infinity Train is my favorite show. Period. It's never getting another season. It's not getting season 5. Favorite show of all time. Love Infinity Train. Great show. Their outrage is the marketing. That's it. It's free marketing. Outrage is free marketing. It's the boycott collapses under the weight of its own noise, because you know what's gonna happen? There's no collective unified front. They're obviously not going to cancel Netflix. People aren't going to cancel Netflix. I want to point that out. People love Netflix. They're going to get it back when they hear about a new show doing good, K-pop Demon Hunters, whatever. Because guess what? Everybody is saying, oh, you should cancel Netflix. K-pop Demon Hunters is on there. Did you know that? K-pop Demon Hunters is there. Netflix has K-pop Demon Hunters. You're not hurting Netflix at all. This boycott's not going to work. You are a psychopath if you think it's going to work. There's just this cruelty embedded in what this means for trans creators and viewers. Imagine being a trans kid, or even a person who thinks they might be trans, or a black person, or any race of person, any classification, any gender, and seeing yourself reflected for the first time on screen. There's this weird love of how Frieza racially profiles the Saiyans, because he calls them monkeys. And for a long time, black people were called monkeys, so a lot of black people identify with the Saiyans. Prideful, full of rage, power, a fear. The dictator of the universe has a fear of them, despite them being so small. And they're the strongest in the universe. Black people felt coalesced with that. That is representation. And then we finally got a black character. We got it. We got a black character on screen. We got characters that are black in anime. We got Soul Eater. We had all these other shows. And it felt good to actually have that, because just seeing ourselves on screen, just seeing yourself is amazing. But imagine seeing yourself and then logging on to Twitter to see the world's richest man declare that your very existence is harmful. That people should boycott a $1 billion company just because you exist. That is harming children. It tells them that their joy, their stories, their presence in the media landscape is controversial. It's controversial, debatable, something to be punished. That damage, it becomes a permanent scar in people's lives, and they close themselves away forever. Life is supposed to be messy. You're supposed to figure things out. And even if it was you just having teenage angst or figuring out about yourself, it's important to explore what you are. Elon Musk boycott is stupid. It's dumb. It's not activism. It isn't about kids. It's not about freedom. It's about the health of society. It's about control, outrage, and cheap political points. And it shows how just weakly fragile the ego of a billionaire is. Because even with rockets and electric cars and the biggest social media platform in his pocket and billions of dollars, he has so much money. He still can't handle the idea of a trans teenager existing in a cartoon. That is weakness. And history will remember his weakness. And they will see the art, the stories, the representation long after it forgets the hashtags of a billionaire's tantrum. They will see how wild and wacky it is. And I'll see what it is, because history has its eyes on you, and it's watching. Mr. Elon Musk, you sniveling coward of a human being.
I'm your Nick and Night, be my loyalties low. Ooh, happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. Ooh, I love the ride when you're free.